Welcome back to Joe's Drive-In and Happy New Year. For the first video of the year, I wanted to do something a little different. I know I typically talk about older movies on this channel, but I do like new ones too, and for those that haven't noticed, I'll typically share my first impressions of them here as YouTube shorts. Now, I saw a lot of movies this past year. I was really trying to go to the theater as much as I could, and I'm happy to say that I saw 34 different movies. That being said, I really wanted to do a top 10 of the best and worst of the last year, so here's my first countdown video. To start, this video will be a top 10 worst movies of 2024, that way we can end on a good note. Before we begin, I just wanted to say that of course, this is my opinion, it's more my 10 least favorite of 2024 rather than the objective worst. I'll also say that this was a harder list to make than I initially thought, as truthfully, I actually liked most of the movies I saw. I'm typically pretty lenient on movies in general, but I wanted to make sure it was an even top 10. Otherwise, it would be like a top 15 best, top 5 worst list, and that just doesn't sound right. Lastly, I'm only counting movies that I actually watched, so yes, Madam Web was awful. We all knew it would be, so that's why I didn't watch that shit. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this with number 10, The Beekeeper. Look, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I kinda loved The Beekeeper. This movie was nuts from start to finish, just a dumb, fun action movie. It was so funny how seriously all the characters in this movie took Jason Statham's Beekeeper character, because it just doesn't sound intimidating at all, but in the movie's universe, everyone knows he's a badass. And they're right, the Beekeeper is not to be messed with, and the character pretty much doesn't even get hurt the entire movie. I highly enjoyed The Beekeeper much more than I thought I would. The action was super cool, the whole movie was just a fun time. It's only number 10 here on the worst list because there were other movies that I enjoyed or disliked a lot more, and let's be real here, it's really stupid. There's a scene where he gets captured and the bad guy's literally like, I got one question for you, to be or not to be, and Jason Statham's all like, I think I'll pick to be, and just goes John Wick on everybody. It's good fun and deserves a little buzz, but overall it's just dumb. Number 9, Argyle. So it seems to be a popular opinion to hate this movie, and I honestly don't get it. I liked Argyle. Again, it's really fun. I'm a huge fan of Matthew Vaughn's Kingsman movies, and this is pretty similar in style and over-the-top ridiculous action. But maybe people thought it was too over-the-top, I don't know. I did like the movie, and I'd say it's by no means terrible. It has a lot going for it, a star-studded cast, great action, flashy visuals, and I found the plot pretty investing. That being said, I'll admit that there were a few things holding it back. For one, there's this terrible CGI cat that gets a lot of screen time and relevance, not sure what they wanted to do with that one, and while I was invested in the plot and I do love a good twist, this movie was so heavy with them. It felt like there was a new twist almost every 5 minutes, and it's like, can we just stick with something for a moment? There were a bunch of other things that just kind of pissed me off as well, but much like The Beekeeper, it's not terrible, just dumb and fun. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite reach the enjoyment of the Kingsman movies, and I probably won't be rewatching Argyle anytime soon. Number 8, Venom, The Last Dance. The Venom movies are kind of a guilty pleasure for me for the same reasons I enjoyed the last two movies on the list. I think they're dumb and fun. I know Venom makes no sense in a world without Spider-Man, I know the movies are kind of lame and just not very good, I know, but I've enjoyed them all and this one isn't an exception. I can't lie though, it wasn't a good movie. It just felt sort of underwhelming compared to the other two movies, and Venom himself makes so few appearances that you have to wonder if they just ran out of money. It was also a bit of a letdown for things that were built up previously, like the plotline about part of Venom being left in the MCU went nowhere. The movie even lets you down with its own plot, building up fan-favorite villain Null as a big bad, but proceeds to have Null do nothing but sit in a chair the whole movie. But hey, if I had a nickel for every third movie in a franchise that had both a Venom and an extended dance sequence in it, I would have 2 nickels.
Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
Number 7, Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. Oh boy, this one was a big letdown for me. If you know me in person or have watched other videos on this channel, you know I'm a big Godzilla fan and kaiju fan in general, so obviously I was hyped for a movie like this to be coming out, and after 2023's masterpiece Godzilla Minus One, us Godzilla fans were eating good. The American MonsterVerse films have been very over-the-top, crazy fun monster action, so I was looking forward to seeing that. I knew what I was getting into, but I found it to be very underwhelming. I found the fights lacked impact and were too short. Godzilla and Kong don't even see each other until the last 15 minutes or something, and then the fight they team up for really didn't need both of them. Godzilla's been made so overpowered in these movies that Kong doesn't even have to be there. Human characters especially sucked this time around, and the movie is worse for it. They took up way too much screen time, and I couldn't help but roll my eyes at the character that was clearly put in there as a Star-Lord type guy and only existed to get some classic rock on the soundtrack. I saw this with my friend Kyle, and he described the whole movie as flaccid, and I still can't think of a better word for it. This is a great example of a movie that has cool stuff in it, but has so much bland and bad in it that it doesn't really matter. Number 6. Unfrosted. You know, I had this video all planned out, but I had to rework my list at the last minute because I completely forgot I even watched this movie. Unfrosted sucked. It's a comedy about the story behind Pop-Tarts, and I have no idea who this is for. On one hand, it has a ton of comedians in it and a bunch of stuff that clearly isn't real, so I guess it's a parody of biopic movies, but it's also loosely based off an event that actually happened, so I'm a little confused on why this exists. It felt like a very long Saturday Night Live sketch with how it was presented, and that's not exactly a good thing. The comedy doesn't land a lot of the time, and it was clearly forgettable, but I did laugh a few times at the absurdist humor, and I enjoyed a lot of the comedians in the movie, so that's why this is at the number 6 spot. Number 5. Beetlejuice. Being let down is a running theme for this list, as not much was more disappointing than Beetlejuice 2, a movie that has been hyped up, teased, and in development hell for like 35 years. But never fear, it seems like every idea they had for this sequel was crammed into one movie so you don't feel like you missed anything. For real, this movie was bloated. There were like 8 different plots in this thing, and none of them, and I mean none of them, were intertwined or concluded in a way that was satisfactory or made sense. It feels so rushed, yet at the same time threw as much stuff at you as possible. The cast is so good, but when the efforts of Jenna Ortega, Catherine O'Hara, Winona Ryder, Michael Keaton, and even Willem Dafoe can't save the movie, you got a real problem on your hands. Tim Burton has fallen off so hard, this movie just made me feel bad. I was left wondering what the hell did I just sit through. So disappointing. Number 4. Taro. You know, maybe it's my fault for thinking Taro would be a good movie. It's no secret, I love horror movies, and Taro looked like such a cool idea. A haunted tarot deck that sends the characters on the cards to kill you? Sign me up. I loved the concept. I thought that the creature design was awesome. I couldn't wait for this one to come out. And then it did. I must have missed the part where it was PG-13 because that would have got me to watch something else. Taro was crap, man. I was right about a few things though. The concept was still cool, and the creature design and scenes with the Taro monsters were awesome. The problem is that you barely see them at all. And I don't just mean that they have like no screen time. I mean literally this movie is super dark for some reason. Like you can't see shit if you tried. It's like they wanted to hide the good stuff as much as possible. The characters are also really bad and make some of the worst choices I've ever seen, even by horror movie standards, and the ending straight up pissed me off. Biggest ass pull of the year, this was not a good one. Number 3, RedOne. When I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought it was a joke. Like, for real. I thought this was like a parody trailer or something. There's no way it's real. A badass Santa with The Rock as his bodyguard. Clearly this is a skit, right? But no, it's real and I was sold. Seemed like good dumb fun, so why not go see it? Well, I just didn't. There were better movies out in theaters and I only have so much time, you know? The crazy thing is that I saw it anyway, from my own home, while it's still in theaters. That's crazy to me that it's actively in theaters, but like 2 weeks into its run, they drop it on streaming. Virtually free to anyone. That's kind of weird, but whatever. So I watch it, and wow, I'm glad I skipped this one. What a waste of time. This movie's just not good at all. How can a movie so stupid and over the top still bore me to the point where I fell asleep for a little bit? I couldn't tell you, but this was so bad. The studio was right to not have faith in the movie this time. It's one thing to put it on streaming so early, but get this. We went to see my in-laws in December and they were telling me that they caught RedOne on cable TV. Seriously, is that not insane? A movie that was in theaters was already being shown on cable at the same time. I think that says a lot about this one. Number 2, The Front Room. Oh boy, The Front Room. This movie was really, really bad. I hated this one. I was really intrigued by the trailer. It looked creepy, like it would be like some sort of cult movie or a psychological thing, and it was A24 too. They've been killing it with horror lately, so why would I not want to check this out? Well, it wasn't any of that. This old racist bitch moves into Brandy's house and it just gets disgusting from there. Is it disgusting because she is racist? No, I mean literally this movie will make you sick because this old lady spends the entire movie puking, pissing, and shitting all over the place. I mean it, this was a fucking scat fetish film or something because there is so much shit in this movie. There are so many parts of the movie where you think the old lady is gonna finally do something scary, but nope, it's just more shit. There's a part where Brandy comes downstairs to find their shit just smeared all over her walls and you see it all. The acting was annoying, the characters suck, and this movie makes me sick. This is a movie that I would say to avoid at all costs. Usually I encourage watching any movie, but just do yourself a favor and do not watch The Front Room. It's fitting I saw this on 9/11 because this too was a horrific disaster that I'll never forget. I will say that despite everything about this movie, the ending was very satisfying, so it ended on a high note, which is more than I can say about number 1. But first, I wanted to give a few dishonorable mentions to some other movies I saw this year that didn't quite make this list. First is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which I know a lot of people hated, and don't get me wrong, there's some bad stuff in here, but I thought the movie was fine. It did some unique stuff with the Ghostbuster concept, but honestly, I'm just tired of them trying to take these 80s comedy movies and make them into some big lore-heavy franchise. Ghostbusters doesn't need to be that deep. Next is Cuckoo, which is a horror movie that I was really interested in, and the trailer made it look like it would be legitimately scary. But at one point the movie just went off the rails in the second half and just completely lost my interest. It just got confusing and stopped being scary at all. I was pretty disappointed in the end. Origin was actually the first 2024 movie I saw. It technically made its debut in 2023, but it didn't hit theaters until 24. Damn, this movie was so bad, preachy, and felt like every Twitter virtue signaling post got rolled into one. To this day, this is the only movie I've ever seen where I walked out of the theater, but since I didn't finish it, it didn't seem fair to include it in this list. And the last movies I want to mention are Mufasa and Borderlands, which were so bad that I didn't watch them at all because, come on, we all knew they would suck. Anyway, what was my worst pick for 2024? That would be number 1, Joker, Folie à Deux. Remember when I said that at least The Front Room had a satisfying ending? Well, none of Joker 2 was satisfying at all. This movie sucked so hard despite being so well made, it's an anomaly. Acting was great, visuals were fantastic, but damn, this was bad. I was speechless after watching this. I've never seen a movie that tried so hard to piss everyone off and just say fuck you to the audience. The Joker doesn't do anything cool, he doesn't commit a single crime, it's boring. I don't mind that it was a musical, in fact, I was looking forward to that. Being a musical does not make a bad movie, but this movie sucked at that too. The singing was terrible and most of the songs were just covers from existing musicals or other songs, so what's even the point? How are you going to have Lady Gaga of all people in your movie and not have a single good song in it, let alone let her be good at singing? That's her whole thing.
Come on, get happy. Get ready for the judgment day.
This movie was such a disaster, it pissed me off. I have Regal Unlimited, so it didn't actually cost me anything to see this movie, and I still feel ripped off. I have never seen a movie that was made with so much spite before. I knew Joker 2 wouldn't be as good as the first, but I never thought it would be the worst movie of the year. I don't think I will ever watch this one again. So there's my list of the 10 worst movies of 2024. I hope you enjoyed it. What was your least favorite of the last year? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you again soon for my list of the best movies of 2024.